Hello, this is Brandon P.T. Davis, theatrical scenic designer, and in this Vectorworks tutorial, I'm going to talk to you about classes and design layers. To start the video off, we will talk about classes. Classes are one of the many powerful functions built into Vectorworks to allow the user to organize their drawing. Classes can be affected by graphical attributes, textures, and text styles. Classes can also be used in visibility to be turned on and off, allowing the user to show a particular element when needed. Classes can be found in the navigation palette under Navigation Palette. You can also access classes in this top bar and scroll down and view them here. To look at the hierarchy list of the navigation and classes, you can double-click on the icon here. As you can see, this template has some classes pre-installed. We have the 2D classes, sheet layer classes, and S for Scenic or set classes. Note that the dimension class and none class are also here. These two classes come standard with all Vectorworks templates. The none class is the base class in which all the 3D elements should be modeled in. The none class, if you're a previous AutoCAD user, is equivalent to layer 0, also similar in SketchUp. The dimension class is where dimension attributes are stored. If I were to go and look at, say, this overhead dash, I can press Edit. Notice that the hyphens between the two text elements are what create the hierarchy to allow for better organization within the classes palette. In this palette, we are able to modify the graphic attributes. As you see, we have checked as Use at Creation, and we have the fill style set to none, the pen type set to line type dash. You can also change the pen type to none, solid, pattern, and line type. I'm going to show you how you can modify the attributes using classes with these 5 squares that I have drafted. To start off, I will show you the traditional way of modifying the attributes of a graphic. I'm going to pull the graphic palette out to show you some of its features. The graphic palette has fill, which can be solid, pattern, hatch, title, gradient, image, or class style. Class styles, as we will see, are modified through the class navigation palette. The pen style has solid, pattern, line, none, and also class style. We can also adjust the opacity of a graphic, and the line thickness can be changed here. These 2 areas on the bottom are for line types if you want to add an arrow or other indicator. Note this arrow drop down allows you to modify how the attribute is applied to a graphic. You can use the default attributes, set default attributes, make all attributes by class, and remove by class settings. So I'm going to modify this square. So currently, the square is on the none class, and the classes are set in the attributes. I can override this by clicking on the pen fill, and I will change the color from white to red. And in the class style, I can change this to line type, change the line type to a medium dash, and I will change the color of the medium dash to green. We can then modify the line weight of the line type through this here. I will set this to 28. As you can see, the line is thicker. I will also show you how to add arrows to a line. So here we have a line. It is set on none class, but I can override by clicking and adding these arrows to the line. As you can see, arrow points have been added. If I click on the arrow again, they can be removed. To illustrate the drop-down, I am now going to go to the graphic that I overrode the class attributes. I'm going to click on the down arrow and select Make Attribute by Class. Now we've returned to the preset class attributes that are within the graphic. With this square, I am going to modify the class. In order to change the class, I can go to the Object Info palette. In the Object Info palette, I can click and change the class from none to a thick line weight, or my thick class. Now the class line weight is thicker. And as you can see in the attributes palette, the arrows indicate that they are paying attention to the class settings. Now that I've shown you how I can change the visibility of the class, I'm going to show you how a group can add to the effectiveness of the visibility with classes. What I can do is I will select these two objects, and I'm going to hit Command or Control G for group. This group is on the none class. If I double click inside of the group, we can see that the rectangles have not changed their class attributes. The color green class is still applied to this rectangle, and the section hatch is applied to this rectangle. I'm going to now exit the group. I can modify the groups class by going down and changing it to group color red. A pop-up will typically show up the first time you do this. This pop-up says, do you want the selected objects to use the graphic attributes of the class? I am going to say no. It says now for each selected group, do you want the class assignment to apply to the sub-objects of the group as opposed to only applying to the group? I am then going to press no. By doing this, I have the ability to have two different classed objects within the group, but I can change the visibility of the group together. Also, if you were to modify the class within the group, it will be affected independently. This can become quite useful in more complex projects. This concludes the portion of the tutorial covering classes. The next section of this tutorial will be on the design layer aspect of Vectorworks.